Good afternoon, and welcome back to the Grimaldo Group, where we love helping families create wealth through home ownership. Investing in real estate is a long term commitment, but nonetheless, a very good investing or investment, should I say.
It
But
is.
today, I'm here with a lender, Phil Arnieri. I like to say that in that way. It makes me feel like I want to go get some pasta, some lasagna or something.
Yeah.
Phil, thank you for being here. We have been working together off and on, right? And he's been helping us with our clients get their loans processed. But you recently brought to our attention, or to anyone's attention, everything you need to know about gift donors.
Mhm.
And could you elaborate more?
Yeah. So gift donors and gifting in general on a lot of home loans is one of the most misunderstood parts, and it often can get sloppy
Okay.
if it's not really well thought out. It can get kind of hairy at the end. Even if you have a great process, everything can go great. Once you get to the gift letter, if it's not properly handled, it can be fumbled and can cause you to even miss a close of escrow date.
So you're telling me, if I understood this correctly, and for those that are listening, you want to buy a house, and you're either your father, your mother, your great uncle, somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to gift you X amount of money. I have it in cash or whatever. They have it stashed away." Do they give it to the client, and then the client goes and deposit it, whatever amount it is? Because that can also throw things off,
Oh
especially if
yeah.
it's cash. Somebody, believe it or not, there are those out there that have $40,000 stashed underneath the doghouse
Yeah.
or maybe in the mattress. And then, with unbeknownst to the lender, the client says, "Hey, yesterday I went and deposited $40,000 that my great uncle gave me from the doghouse, underneath the doghouse." And then what's your reaction with that?
Hopefully they don't do that at the 11th hour. We try to prevent that ahead of time. But yeah, cash is never acceptable. We even had one guy show up with gold coins one day, and we were like, "What are you, a leprechaun?"
I mean,
But
maybe they
sometimes,
are. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that,
yeah.
right? The important fact, and again, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I always like, during the buyer consultation, prior to even going under contract or into the escrow process, I touch base on this quite a bit. If all of a sudden you encounter the blessing that you are receiving an X amount of money from either your piggy bank that you've had stashed away since you were 10 years old, and now it's equal to 15,000, 10,000, and there is no paper trail. I think this
Mhm.
is the important part. If you cannot demonstrate paper trail, and you go run off to the bank and deposit it during the time that you're in the escrow process, that's going to put a red flag and can probably be detrimental to the purchase of that house, is it not?
Absolutely. Yeah, you want to have everything about that process dialed in. It can cause a lot of headaches. You don't want to be dealing with that at the 11th hour. Not to mention the beauty of the gift when you stack it aside these down payment assistance loans, it's not even close. If you're able to tap into gift funds in terms of lower interest rate, in terms of just having a better loan in general, closing faster, uh, being able to refinance without any of these non-forgivable loans that a lot of these assistance loans have. I'm not knocking the assistance loans. We've helped quite a few people achieve the dream of home ownership using these assistance loans. That's the last resort if they don't have family here, if they don't have any funds, if they can't tap into a 401k. One of the things that's really interesting about this is, and you hardly ever see this on loans, and Angel, I don't know if you've seen this, but with an FHA loan, you could actually get a gift from an employer. You don't
Wow.
see that. If you see that on there, you don't actually see that too often, but you can get a gift from an employer and a charitable organization as well. Just something that the majority of people watching this probably don't know.
Well, then, with regard to the family member, if they so desire to give you a gift, there still needs to be a paper trail, and most likely they'll have to demonstrate where they pulled the money from, be it
Especially, yes, on an FHA loan.
401k, I don't know, an insurance policy, or maybe the bank statement to
Oh, yeah.
demonstrate. It's important to maintain a paper trail of gifts, correct?
Absolutely. Yep. If that can get out of control, if there's too much transferring of money, it becomes this wild goose chase, and it's a big waste of everyone's time when having conversations about things like this that are so crucial should have been happening up front.
Okay. Well, I see here with this information you provided here, Fannie Mae's acceptable gift donors. A gift can be provided by a relative defined on as the borrower's, I can't talk right now, spouse, child, or another dependent. So sometimes it could be a child, adult child says, "Hey, Dad, here's a gift from me to you."
Yeah, I've had for an FHA loan. We had an interesting situation many years ago where it was the father-in-law gifted. The father-in-law was very wealthy, and we had to show a relationship because they weren't married yet, and we even had them do a letter about the night that they met just to prove that they had. And we actually were able to get the loan through because if it's not technically family, it can get a little bit of gray area within the loan, but we were able to get it approved.
So this is completely different going back to the 2008 financial crisis created by real estate, where there was a lack of underwriting. So
Yeah.
maybe by 2004 to 2007-ish, until 2008, where everything came tumbling down, you could potentially purchase 3 or 4, 5 houses because there was no income verification,
Yeah.
no paper trail, no nothing. But since then, things have tightened up, right? And so
They have.
the market that is in existence today is nothing like it was back in that time, that era where the 2008 crisis happened. And this is one prime example how different the market is today. The other one is a gift can be provided by a non-relative who shares a familiar relationship with the borrower. So
Yeah, that's like a situation like I was referencing.
and so,
Uh,
such as a domestic partner, a relative of the domestic partner, an individual engaged to marry the borrower, or former relative, or even godparent. And it goes on, which everyone will have that information there. At the bottom, it says the USDA and VA allow for gift funds so long as they're not provided by a source that has an interest in the transaction.
Yep.
So that's something to take into account.
That's another thing you hardly ever see.
No.
Chime in if you've ever seen a gift funds used on a VA loan. So that's
No.
new education for a lot of people, and hopefully they take away that from our conversation.
Well,
here.
that's awesome. Well, if anyone out there has questions about these gift funds, you can feel free to contact Phil Arnieri, and his information is going to be disseminated. I just like saying it like that. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I'm gonna tell my grandpa about that. You're one of the only people I've met that's ever. He's 94 years old. He's gonna be like, wow, finally.
Well,
Somebody
is he up
pronounced
in
it.
Chicago?
Yeah, he's in Illinois.
Okay, but Chicago or?
Yeah, he's in the northwest suburbs.
All right, that's good. And so, as now you know, the Phil's from Chicago. Anyone that's out there from Chicago,
And I'm also licensed in Illinois and working on California license as well.
that's awesome. One-stop shop. Well, we thank you for taking the time
Thank
to
you.
be with us here to share this information. And we also thank our clients and the ones listening out there. If you or anyone that you know needs help with real estate, feel free to contact us here in the Grimaldo Group. I'm specifically always happy to receive calls. My number is disseminated and my email. And we're always eager to assist people with their real estate needs. Thank you so kindly. Any last words?
Yeah, we could even do a soft pull of your credit if you're just not right there yet, but you want to see what a payment would look like on something. What does your buying power potentially look like? What would down payment look like? What would closing costs look like? What would your interest rate look like?
Well, it paints a clearer picture
Oh, yeah.
because a lot of times I've run into people and they assume they can't purchase. And I
Right.
ask them, have you ever sat down with a lender? They say, no, I'm not ready yet. Well, you might not be ready ever if you never sit down with an expert such as
Yeah.
Phil Arnieri to go through your finances, an expert in mortgage lending. And because if you keep paying attention to your cousin Vinny, right, or Frankie from down the street, and Vinny has never purchased, and Frankie is still living with mom and dad, right, and they're telling you this, it's not worth it, and whatever the case may be, you might want to question that, where you're
Right.
getting the information. So I highly recommend reach out to Phil Arnieri for more detailed information, and you could make an appointment with him, go through your finances, and see where you're standing with regard to home purchasing.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, again, thank you kindly, and God bless.